You said something in your opening statement about a very small government as opposed to the big individual. I didn't know I was going to get you for my last question, so I'm going to expect a lot in your answer to this question. As you know, when the states created the federal government, they were free, independent, and sovereign. The federal government was created with very few defined powers, very specific. However, in just those few duties, the federal government has refused both to perform its duties to the states and yet to also honor the limitations placed on it by the states. So we have some remedies in Article 1, Section 1 and 2 of the Texas State Constitution. Section 1 is the freedom and sovereignty of the state, and Section 2 is the inherent political power in the Republican form of government. I don't like normally skipping Section 1, but I want to get to Section 2 because my question for you lies there. All political power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit. The faith of the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a Republican form of government, and subject to this limitation only, they have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient. I'd like to know your thoughts on Article 1, Section 1 and 2 of the Texas State Constitution, and if you believe there are things that need to be altered, reformed, or abolished.
I certainly support our Constitution, and particularly the Texas Bill of Rights. Article 1, Section 1, actually states that it's so important, including Section 2, that the perpetuity of the Union is dependent upon the preservation of the right of local self-government. And they're referring really to the states there. Article 1, Section 29 actually provides an important remedy when the federal government overreaches, or whether even our state overreaches. And it basically says any statute that overrides or violates the Texas Bill of Rights is void. And I introduced a bill, House Bill 1751, to provide for orderly, peaceful manner to identify federal overreach and to determine the remedy, at least non-compliance. We do not have to help them. They may have to have a federal marshal at every home to take away our guns. If they want to shut down a coal-powered plant, we can ask the sheriffs to interpose. And so I do believe our Constitution provides for remedies to protect us. And the people are ultimately responsible. But we're not just a democracy, we're a republic. And that means the majority, the 51%, do not have a right to take away the rights, liberty, and property of the 49%, only in the case of when they harm their neighbor. So I do support the people, through their elected representatives, to change our Constitution and to change the laws of our state.
I'm glad that you mentioned Article 1, Section 29, that's commonly referred to as the nullification clause within the Texas State Constitution, that says that anything in the Bill of Rights is accepted out of the general powers of government. Means you can't touch them, you can't regulate them, you can't infringe. They're accepted out of the general powers of government. They shall remain forever violate, and all laws contrary thereto or to the following provisions shall be void. Null and void. So I'm glad that you mentioned Article 1, Section 29. I'd like to pose a similar question to you about the Article 1, Section 23 of the of the U.S. Constitution, of the Texas State Constitution, would you support a vote for amending the Texas State Constitution to decriminalize the wearing or carrying of arms?
I don't think you should have to ask the government for permission to defend yourself from whatever means, as long as you don't harm or alarm your neighbor. And I suspect the reason why the wearing of arms was added to that provision is because sometimes people like to flaunt it, look at it, and it's not for that purpose. It's a very serious thing when you come close to using deadly force. I would support simplifying that section of the Constitution because I think it might be misinterpreted and has been perhaps misinterpreted. But we do have statutes in our penal code that keep us and penalize people for alarming others or threatening others through the display of a weapon.